Good morning, folks. Pilgrim here. Let me just get myself straightened up. I got a lot of warm clothes on because it's cold outside, but still, if I'm going to be here, I'd like to look nice, but that's the Italian in me speaking. That's all I can tell you. Yesterday we did the Church of Philadelphia, the faithful church, as they say. And let me see if I can get this right. All right, okay, good. Whatever. I'm done with it. Details. Yesterday I did the Church of Philadelphia, the faithful church. And today we're doing the seventh and last church of all of Christ's letters to the seven churches. And this is the Church of Laodicea. Okay? What's this one in reference to? So I'm looking at my notes, make sure I don't miss anything. 3:12. Okay, that's something else. That's up there. That is here. 3:12. Give me 1 second. A, B, C. Is that D? Okay, so I think that's about here somewhere. Okay. Good morning. So I'm going to just get straight on with it. One last thing I wanted to add to yesterday's video is that a good friend of mine, Ryan Tyrus, he mentioned how similar a Star of David resembles a pomegranate. And there's a lot of truth to that. It's not just that looks nice. It just happens to look like. I actually think there is a lot to that. It was very deliberate. It was based, the true symbol of Israel, if you like, actually was a lily. And if I'm not mistaken, the flowers on the pomegranates are of that family. I could be wrong on that, but I believe that's right. And that goes right up there. That's a whole new branch of research. But when you begin to look into why pomegranates were used in the tabernacle, it gets interesting. Because you see that everything in the tabernacle had its symbolic meanings. The palm trees, the cherubs, and everything had specific meanings. And Moses was shown everything as it was laid out in heaven, and then told to make a copy of it, including the designs that God tells him onto all the things. The designs on the laver, the designs on the tables, on the doors, on the walls. Everything had to be exactly as God instructed him. And it's just very interesting. There's all kinds of, for example, astrological stuff, the true astrology, not the corrupted form. You could look into and so on, like the movements of Jupiter. Each planet, as it goes around the sun, it spins as it's going around the sun. But it's not a straightforward linear spin, like just circles. They have their orbits that go in a very specific way. And, for example, the planet Jupiter, which has a whole ton of meanings, which I won't go into here, when you look at its annual spin around the sun, it draws the picture of a 6-leaved lily. And a very detailed and very beautiful one, too, by the way. If you get a chance to look this up, it's not just 6 leaves, but there's a lot of details inside the flower that it paints, and it's really beautiful. This is God's design. He created that. He created their orbits. He created the patterns that he would see. When he looks down, he's outside of time. When he looks down at our solar system and sees the patterns that each planet is making, we see the objects themselves. We don't see the lines. But if you're outside of time and you see everything whirring around, what God's going to see, for example, when he looks at the planet Jupiter, is a beautiful, beautiful lily in the pattern that it makes whirring around annually. As it whirls around, as it goes around the sun, but the circles that it makes as it spins around, it also makes circles within itself. You see what I mean? Circles within circles while making a circle. Everything in threes. Pretty fascinating stuff. I went into it a bunch of years ago. And too much to go into here. But my point in saying all of this is that when Ryan Tarbitz brought up how much the Star of David looks like a pomegranate flower, he's more right than he knows. And I remember doing a deep dive into this, sort of, a bunch of years ago, where the lily, the Star of David was in the shape of a lily. But yes, the Star of David is found in Scripture. And I probably need to do that one day, but the rise of anti-Semitism in this country is so huge right now, I don't have time. I want to get on with the other things because the Proverbs say, the book of Proverbs says, you know, you can slap a stupid one 100 times and he still won't understand. You can lead a horse to water and you can't make it drink. We know these things, but giving the full-on explanation and throwing it before these people, trying to convince them, is nothing more than throwing your pearls before swine. And they'll attack you for it anyway. They've already made up their mind what they think and how they want to attack. So, but it's just interesting that God, in the designs that he showed to Moses, specifically ordered pomegranates to be intermingled around the tops of the pillars. Everything in the tabernacle screamed Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And what he was going to do for mankind and where he was going to take us and how he wants to fashion us. His worship, his praise, his glory. God was making a symbolic representation on earth of everything that Moses saw in heaven. Keeping this in mind, the pomegranates wrapped around the top of the pillars. And then somebody brought something out. I saw an article the other day about pomegranates, how many seeds there are in there. It's like a really interesting number. It was something like, 144 or some weird, ultra-significant number like that. There's something about the seeds which, from a Christian's perspective would scream Christ. Christ and his coming kingdom. I have to look it up and I'm going to have to present it to you. But these are the fruits that God chose to wrap around the tops of the pillars. Why am I going on about this? Because then I'm going to tell you to go look at the promises and the blessings that Christ made to the church of Philadelphia, which we've just read in Revelation chapter 3, verse 12. And it reads right there, "He who overcomes, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go out no more." You're going to be with Jesus Christ forever. He is your head, your capstone. He's going to make you a pillar in his temple. The pomegranates wrapped around the top of that pillar as a reminder that Christ is going to do what he said he would do and seal the name of Christ in your forehead forever. It's just a very beautiful thing. All of these things. You can't deny it because God commanded it. Are the pomegranates in the tabernacle or not? Yes, they are. They're right there. And I'm going to dig that article up for you as soon as I can. It's just fascinating. The lukewarm church. The lukewarm church. Verse 14 of chapter 3. My eyes are going. "And to the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write, these things says the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God. I know your works, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish you were cold or hot. So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I'll vomit you out of my mouth. Some translations say spit you out of my mouth. But if you have ever tried drinking lukewarm water in a hot country, in the desert, it's really disgusting. It's like a thick, spongy oil. It's like, it makes you want to spit it out. It's disgusting. You know, you can't drink it. I wish you were cold or hot. If you're hot, I could praise you and I can work with you. If you're cold, I would know what to do in order to heat you up. But this half-heartedness, who knows how to work with that? So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will vomit you out of my mouth. Because you say, I am rich and have become wealthy and have need of nothing. That's the materialist view. And do not know that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire, that you might be rich, and white garments, that you may be clothed. Buy from me gold refined in the fire, that you may be rich, and white garments, that you may be clothed. Do you understand what he's just said here? I know you heard the words, but do you realize the import of what he has just said? Think of the 5 foolish virgins and what they were told by the 5 wise virgins. The 5 wise virgins told them, we don't have enough oil to spare for you as well as for ourselves. You had all this time. But, okay. Well, the 5 wise virgins said to the 5 foolish, go into the towns, the cities, and buy from those who sell it. Buy from those who sell what Christ offered you for free. Those left behind after the rapture. I think of these big televangelists making lots of money. But during the tribulation years, things are going to get so bad that a lot of people are going to see the error of their ways. They're going to see where they went wrong. They're going to see what has happened. And so many come to Christ that the book of Revelation tells us that no man could number them, out of all nations and tribes and peoples and tongues. And they mean it. They're going to come to Christ with their full hearts. You know? Buy from me gold. The word of Christ is going to... those who call on the name of Christ will be saved, but they may pay an ultimate price for it. Buy from me, Christ says, refined in the fire. Those saints, those tribulation saints, we already know, are going to be tested. A lot of them are going to be martyred for their faith, tested in the fire. It's just what I see here. I would cross-reference this white garments that you may be clothed with Revelation chapter 7, verse 13, okay? That you may be clothed, so that the shame of your nakedness may not be revealed. You know? The shame of the nakedness of these 5 foolish virgins was revealed. The 5 wise went in with the master to the wedding feast. And the 5, sir, open up to us also. I'll tell you the truth. I don't know you. A phrase I learned from an earthly source a long time ago was like attracts like. And there may be some truth to it in the spiritual way also. Because if we're told in the scriptures that a man who looks in the mirror sees himself, and if he goes away and forgets what he sees, then he doesn't correct himself. But this Bible is our mirror, spiritually speaking. And we look into it and we see what needs to be fixed in us, examining our reflection through God's eyes. We know that we can't fix everything. We cannot be perfect. Christ did what we cannot do. That's what the mirror reveals. But then when Christ also looks into the mirror to see if his reflection is in us and doesn't see it in the 5 foolish virgins, I tell you the truth, I'm looking, but I don't know who you are. You're not like me at all. You don't have my qualities. You didn't respect them. You don't want to put them on. They were a burden to you to work hard enough to put them on. You knew where this world was going. I don't know you. I told you everything that you needed to do in order to get ready for this time. And you thought it was okay to sit back and do nothing and care about nothing except yourselves. Lord, did we not do great wonders for you? Did we not, do this and do that? Okay, let's take out that argument. When I was there, when I was poor and in prison and sick and in my bed, and when I was homeless and so on, where were you? What you didn't do for the least of these, my brothers. And don't forget, that has a twofold, if not more, meaning. The Jew first and then the Gentile is my immediate thoughts, but I'm not making that point right now. What you did not do for the least of these, my brothers. Anybody. Think of the Pharisees' argument with Jesus and said, Lord, who is my brother? And then he gives a parable about a Samaritan, which the Jews hated. So it's like, who is my brother? Anyone who needs the Lord's love. When you did not show it to the least of these, my brothers, you didn't show it for me. That, in my opinion, is the secondary meaning of that phrase. But, I won't, it's not important to go into that right now. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire, that you may be rich, and white garments, that you may be clothed, so that the shame of your nakedness may not be revealed. And anoint your eyes with eye salve, so that you may see. I always used to say there are no mirrors in heaven. But I got to correct that phrase, because this is Christ's mirror. When he looks at us, does he see a reflection of himself, his qualities, his heart? Most of all, his heart, his desire, his love for others. Does he see that in us? That's the most important thing. Even this morning, I get attacked by those who don't accept the pre-tribulation rapture. And it's like, look, do you love Christ? Then show his love. It doesn't matter who you disagree with and so on. But Watchman River, it's funny how the last 2 or 3 videos, Watchman River and I are talking about exactly the same things in our videos. They just come in moving along like this. And other watchmen and watchwomen are doing the same thing. It's very weird. But he put out a video this morning saying, isn't it funny that it's always the post-tribbers and the mid-tribbers that attack the pre-tribbers so vehemently? I mean, it's overboard. There's 1 or 2 individuals who don't, but for the most part, the pre-tribulation rapture believers are attacked relentlessly. You never see the post-tribbers attack the mid-tribbers in quite the same way. It's both of those groups that attack the pre-tribbers absolutely vociferously. It's crazy. Even this morning. And it's like, look, do you love Christ? Oh, yeah. Then show it in how you treat others. If you disagree with someone, okay, disagree with them. But you don't have to hunt and kill them in order to make your point. to slander and tear down and tear to pieces, and just rip apart. Do you really think that God is smilingly looking down from heaven saying, do you see my son and my daughters down there tearing apart those that they disagree with? Doesn't it just get you right here? Doesn't it just make your heart swell? Oh, it's just so beautiful. Huh? Just gets you right here, doesn't it? I'm looking for a verse here. And it's a commandment from God. And I'm going to find it. I think it's in Galatians, and if I can't find it, don't worry about it. Come on, there it is. Okay, here we are. I haven't found it, but there's one like it. Galatians 5:25. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking one another, envying one another. There is another one here. It might not be in Galatians. I used to know it off by heart. But it says, brothers, stop tearing each other to pieces, lest you devour one another. We've already got the whole world that wishes we would disappear. God lets them have their wish at some point. He doesn't deny them their wish. This is why you are saved by the blood of Christ, but you have the gift of free will, just like Adam and Eve did at the very beginning. They had the right to choose. God did not forbid them the fulfillment of their free will choice. And the world is making its choice now. We have then to tear us apart, and they are doing so in numerous countries. Syria, Iran, China, Nigeria, Mozambique, where the suffering of Christians is horrendous. Sudan and its various territories. North Korea, the concentration camps up there. Afghanistan. I mean, the list is growing by the day, where Christians are being murdered on a daily basis. And what is the world to think when they see us doing their work for them? Look at them. They're so panicked. They're tearing each other to pieces. It makes us easier to get rid of them. And that's exactly what they want to do. Where is the spirit of love in all this? Anyway, never mind. I'm getting lost here. Getting off point. This is the church of the Laodiceans. Because you say, I am rich and I've become wealthy and have need of nothing, and do not know that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire, that you may be rich, buying what God gave for free. The 5 wise virgins said to the 5 foolish, go buy from those who sell it. Meanwhile, we're going in with a master. Refined in the fire, that you may be rich, and white garments, Revelation 7:13, that you may be clothed, that the shame of your nakedness may not be revealed, and anoint your eyes with eye salve, that you may see. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Do you hear what he said? He's giving a severe rebuke to them. You are really crumbled down. But I love you, and I still want to save you. Don't forget that I love you, because nothing else is going to get you through what you're about to go through because of this. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Therefore be zealous and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and I knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and dine with him, and he with me. To him who overcomes, I will grant to sit with me on my throne, even after having had to pass through the tribulation. To him who overcomes, I will grant to sit with me on my throne, as I also overcame. He overcame through death. Christ died for you. And these folks are going to have to die for Christ. We also died for Christ. We died to the passions of our flesh and the desires of this world. We separated ourselves, the called out ones, as it has always been throughout human history. God's people have always been the called out ones. The very meaning of that phrase. Let him pick up his, you want to follow me? Pick up your cross daily and follow me. Every day. Every day. To him who overcomes, I will grant to sit with me on my throne, as I also overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne. This goes back to the other churches where he says, you're going to be persecuted 10 days, which basically meant all of your life. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. The 7th time he says this. I'm speaking to you Laodiceans, but the rest of you, listen up, because this applies to you too. Listen up. Let him who has an ear hear what the Spirit says to the churches. Have any of us overcome our fleshly passions and desires perfectly enough to be accepted? No. And we're going to try our best, and we are going to be absolutely disappointed in ourselves all the time when we keep our eyes on Christ, which is exactly why we need his grace and his mercy. And his love comes flowing through undeservedly on top of all of that. Tomorrow, I'm going to post this video on YouTube tomorrow morning. But the next chapter, on my morning readings with the wife, I'm going through Revelation chapter 8, the blowing of the trumpets, and I'm going through them trumpet by trumpet to give me time to catch up with these readings until the two are synced. Tomorrow, chapter 4, the throne room of heaven. It's beautiful. God bless you. Keep on looking up, for he is near. March is almost upon us. And I'm going to say it again, that I am absolutely stunned. The Genesis timeline, as I've been sharing it for the last 18 years, it ends, as far as I could share it with y'all, it ends in the year 2027. In there, towards the end, is the Lord's rebuke against Babylon, with the 3-in-1 and the 1-in-3 solar eclipses that he sent to this nation. No other nation on earth saw it, not Hawaii, not the Caribbean, not Mexico, not Canada, nothing. It was to this nation, and it drew the Aleph right across the nation. The Aleph, the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which is basically a signature for God because of the numeric, the symbolic, and the word meaning that identifies God as the sovereign Lord of Israel. This Aleph was drawn, and at its center of the X part was the New Madrid fault line. It was a strong warning to this nation. And if you really zoom in to the map and see what's at the center of that X, the center of the center, the very center of the center is a little lake called the Devil's Lake. And underneath it is a road going by which is called Salem Road. Pretty? You think I'm kidding and making this up? And you can't make this stuff up because we have no control over the movements of the moon. It's centered right on the Devil's Lake, which is Revelation 20 verse 10 or 21:10, something like that. Into the lake of fire was cast the devil and his angels, and all those who joined them. Right underneath, Salem Road runs by. Pretty impressive stuff. What I didn't know, because everything I understood took me up to that date, and on April the 8th, 2024, I said from this point on, it's all going to start crumbling down. Who knows what's going to happen? And I was right, and it did. I'm not here to justify myself. I'm saying what I understood, but I didn't understand enough. Because then from 2024, 25, and 26, a string of 3 lunar eclipses, blood red moons, on the time of Purim. And this time is the third and last of the Purim blood moons. People are looking at this because we are exactly 7 years away from 2033. You know? If you know what AD 33 means, then okay, we got a conversation, but I'm going to leave that there. Hey, Nicola, nice to see you. God bless you. Have a great day. Consider the things that I've said here, if you want to, please, and keep on looking up, and don't allow yourself to be sidetracked arguing with these people, like over the rapture or over this or over that. They have one thing in common. They don't seriously expect you to agree with their point of view. So why are they doing it, you wonder? The devil has done this for 6,000 years. They're just trying to wear you out. That's literally the goal. The aim is to wear you down. Just to wear you out. That's all the enemy needs to do. They know that you're not going to agree with them, and yet they will publish book-sized statements and arguments, and they'll print an entire encyclopedia in answering you and expect you to answer everything on it. You don't have time to do all that. So somehow their wordy encyclopedias, that's what makes them prove right. Oh, you can't answer it. Oh, whatever. Ridiculous. I remember Obama and George Bush, I think, in the elections, when they run up to the elections to be elected, and Obama's a lawyer. He did exactly the same thing. They've each got a 3-minute slot in order to answer what the other one is saying. So Obama would snowball his statements with about 15 different questions. Bush tries to answer 1 or 2 of them, and then Obama will come back and say, you see what he didn't answer, what he couldn't answer? This proves my point, and then blah, like this. This is an old tactic. Lawyers have been using this for years. And these people who attack Christians online do exactly the same thing. Don't fall for it. All they want to do is wear you out, and that's how they think they win. But God gets the last word. God bless, and perhaps we'll see each other soon. Watch out, March 3rd, that blood moon is coming. God bless.